Hey, One Stop Co-op Shop fans, Mike here, and today I'm looking at Detective City of Angels from Van Ryder Games. This is a 1 to 4 player mystery game, one that was on Kickstarter previously, and I missed because somehow I had no idea you could play it solo and co-op, so I didn't have much interest in it. But now there's an expansion on Kickstarter, and you can rebuy the base game in the first expansion, and I found out from Liz on Beyond Solitaire that the solo play and co-op is supposed to be great, so I wanted to give it a try. But I wasn't sure if I was going to cover it, so I asked the Patreon members who have voting privileges, and they did say overall that they wanted to see both a review and a playthrough, so here we go. Now, if you don't know much about the game, it comes with 9 cases in the base game, and then there's an expansion with the first Kickstarter that had 4 more cases, one of them multi-part. So I struggled with which case to show you, because whatever I show you, it's going to be a complete spoiler for one of the core pieces of content in the game. So at first I was going to go with the tutorial case, but first of all, that's been all over YouTube, and second of all, it's really quick and really easy on purpose, so I don't think that would really show off the game too well. And in general, the solo and co-op is easier than the competitive version because you don't have this chisel player, which is sort of an oppositional player, setting things up for you. So I wanted to do a case that had the tougher veteran difficulty level. But the thing is, the cases in the core game kind of follow one after the other, and the intro narrative for one case will lead into the next one and kind of make references to the previous one, so it's kind of sort of an overarching story. Which meant if I showed you a case in the middle of the core game, I would not only be spoiling that one case, I might be spoiling the solution to a previous case. So with that in mind, I'm instead doing Crimson Obsession, which is the first case in the expansion. And this is one that, starts off their own little set of cases, but it is also the veteran difficulty. So I haven't played this before, of course, or I wouldn't be able to show it to you. I'm hoping this will be a nice show off of kind of how tough the game can be in solo and co-op mode, but also not spoil anything beyond this one case. But feel free to watch as much of this game as you want to, and then stop whenever you want to, if you don't want to be spoiled too much in case you think you might get the game in the expansion at some point. Now this one, by the way, I did not get sent to me or anything. I do have a relationship with Van Ryder Games from the past. They published our first game, Salvation Road, but that didn't really come into play here. I just wanted to show you a cool game, and again, the Patreon users voted for it. And do check out my review afterwards if you're interested on what I think of the solo play, and also kind of how it compares to the competitive play or even goes along with it. So setup for the solo and co-op mode is super fast, way faster than the competitive mode because there's a lot of components that aren't used. You have this case box. You can hear there's still a good number of cards in here that I'm not using, that are only used for the competitive mode. But I did take out all the case cards. You'll see them all the way at the top here, A through L, just lined up. Some cases have fewer, but again, this is a more challenging case, so they have the entire row. Additionally, I've got a mystery card over here that might show up at some point. Then the core thing for the solo game, you also get this little question grid and search grid for, there's one per case, as you can see. And this is going to kind of define what paragraphs I read, because since I don't have a human player to go against, I'm instead going to be reading paragraphs from a book, sort of like a lot of choose-your-own-adventure-ish kind of games. I also have my character set up over here. Again, it's super fast. I pick a miniature, and you can see they have little colored bases to slip over them. And by the way, what I'm going to show you is identical for solo and co-op, because they do recommend for co-op mode that you basically play the same as solo and just kind of collaborate on solving the mystery with one character. There's a variant where you each control characters in co-op, but it's not suggested because it's not supposed to be as balanced. Additionally, I've got a bunch of leverage tokens in my color. These will be placed on suspects. Got 4 action cubes that'll mark what I'm doing each day of the case. Got these 3 stress tokens. Whenever I gain stress, I'm going to flip one over. When they all get flipped over, I basically lose an entire day of investigating. Then finally, I'm going to place the day marker all the way up here on the 12 space, and that'll count down until I have to do a final guess. You'll see that token goes right there. There's also a few booklets I'm going to use, and again, these are for the expansion, Bullets Over Hollywood. I've got the case briefing, that's going to give me the introduction to the case. I've got the main one for the solo and co-op mode called Sleuth mode, which is the case book, and this has the paragraphs I'm going to read through as I investigate. And finally, I've got the casebook and solutions for the chisel. This only matters for the solution, so I'll look at this once I'm finished the case to find out what actually happened, see if I was right, basically. But we start with the case briefing. That's going to tell us where to place some initial cards and suspects on this beautiful map.
Crimson Obsession. Vicky Crimson, that lovely star of stage and screen, is missing. She's made our lives difficult in the past, and I'm sure you all remember that lovely business with Christmas and Caravaggio. And the gossip rags all paint her as a drama queen of the highest caliber. Not that I read the gossip rags. My wife does. She tells me these things. I never touch the trash. Moving on. This could be some kind of public relations stunt. It is award season, and Crimson is up for her role in the Scarlet Sleuth. Nothing like a little manufactured disappearance to juice your profile before voting begins. The reason could be more mundane, like an unfortunate accident, or knowing how Crimson is like a moth to the flame whenever trouble is in the mix. Her disappearance could be something more sinister. Perhaps she was running away from someone or was kidnapped. And since this city is no stranger to homicide, consider that the worst may be true. Start with Harrison Hawks, the film director. He directed Sleuth, and he's the one who called in the missing persons report on Crimson. According to Officer Daniels, who took the report down at headquarters, Hawks kept raving about some cop who was involved. If there's a bad seed in the LAPD, I want to know. You can find Hawks on the 20th Century Fox lot. Another lead worth following up is Josephine Banks. She was photographed having a very public spat with Crimson last week. It was all over the gossip rags. My wife said so. Banks might be a person of interest now that Crimson is missing. You can find her at her South Bay residence. And of course, you should stop in at Crimson's mansion down by the pier and see what you can turn up. One last thing, a reporter at the Times called and was asking questions about Crimson not 5 minutes after we got the call from Hawks that she was missing. See what he knows, and don't take that freedom of the press crap from him. Figure out why Crimson is missing and who was involved. Now! Go!
So you already saw that the case kind of sets itself up as you read through the intro, but I do want to note that this case is different than usual, all the other ones I've played. Usually you have to identify who killed someone, what the murder weapon was, and why they did it. This time I'm only identifying two things. It's the reason Vicky disappeared, as well as the suspect involved. And you'll see first they have a little reminder of all the locations I might want to start going to, so that makes it nice and easy. You don't have to write everything down. And then here I've got my possible reasons. So I have to find which of these people is involved, but then also I got to figure out if it was a stunt or an accident, or she was escaping, or got kidnapped, or got killed. There's a special note here. After playing for your first full day, read paragraph 85. A quick note about how to win. You'll see that they have all the options for her reason and all the possible suspects. Ooh, suspect number 3. Who is that? So what I'll do is I'll add these numbers together, check the paragraph book, and it'll tell me if I successfully solved it or not. If you don't successfully solve it the first time in sleuth mode, you get 2 other tries, but kind of like your score goes down. If you still can't solve it, then you're just a failure. So with the introduction out of the way, we can get to solving this case. And first, I do want to note, they told you some extra locations to remember. I put some extra tokens down to kind of help visually show where things are. So when I start my first day, I get to pick one police station that I start at, and I'll probably do the one that has something else to investigate. And then from there, I get 4 actions every day. I start with 12 days. And for one action, I can move to any other location in my current area. So right now I'd be in central LA. But if I move to a location that borders 2 areas, so like if I move to 91, for example, for my next move, I can move somewhere in South Bay. So generally speaking, to get from an area that's in one location to another one, you got to take 2 movement actions. 1 there and 1 there. And again, that would be 2 out of your 4. Separately, you can use 1 action to search a location. So if I'm here, I can find out what's going on with this cop who might be pressuring the director. You can also search a suspect and see if they have anything on them if you're in a location with them. And your 4th action type, the one that's kind of the key to the game, is going to be questioning the suspects. For the searches, you just put in where you're searching or which suspect, and you read the indicated paragraph. For the questions, you not only have which person you're talking to, but which of the cards, A through L, right now that I can ask about. Now, of course, currently I only know about 3 of these many cards, so I can't ask that many questions, but hopefully I'll discover more case cards as we go. And then the only thing kind of left to say for the rules is when you ask a question, they'll say some stuff, and then you can choose to press further and kind of like interrogate them further. If they were lying about something, they'll tell you more, and you'll get to put one of your leverage tokens on the suspect's card, or I guess we can just do it next to them. And that means that another time I ask a question, I can discard this and basically get to see whether they're lying or not for free. If they're not lying and I press them, I get 1 stress, and whenever I get 3 of these, the final guess token is going to move up 1, and that'll take away 1 of my entire days out of 12 to solve the case, so that's not great. Alright, so with all the explanation out, I think my first action is going to be searching the police department. I think I'm going to go to the LA Times, which does border 2 locations. That can get me into Hollywood. I'll search there. That'll be 3 actions. I mean, I don't need to go to Hollywood, so then I guess I'll probably move over to West Side or South Bay and start looking into one of the 2 suspects. So first action, searching Central LA. This is location 51, so I just cross index 419. Try to get really tight on these things so you don't have to get anything else spoiled. Officer Daniels is eager to please a veteran on the force such as yourself. Mr. Hawks was raving about a Detective Willis. We have two Willises on the force. One's at Hollywood, 27, and the other's at Wilshire, 12. He pauses. Oh, and one other thing. Josephine Banks came to the station to report her car missing. I started cross-referencing other reports, and a vehicle matching hers jumped the curb at Sunset, 33, and took out a mailbox. Hope that helps with the case. All right, so we got two possible police stations where this officer could be located. And then Sunset Boulevard is where Josephine Banks, remember that's the actress that might have been tussling with the disappeared actress, Vicky. So her car was stolen, apparently. So good, now I definitely want to go to the LA Times, and I have some things to kind of check around Hollywood before I head over to my suspects. So action 2, I'll go to the LA Times, and action 3, I'll search there.
You must have bat guano between your ears. You think I'm going to give up a source?
You think about planting your brass knuckles in the reporter's sloppy grin. You grease his palm with some scratch instead.
I've suddenly seen the light. There's a cute switchboard operator, 43, that fills me in whenever a special call goes through to the LAPD. She told me Crimson had been reported missing.
Gosh, so many places to go. Crud, so that's in central LA. Do I go there before I head over to Hollywood and elsewhere? So I search, move, search. My fourth action, I'll move to 43, and I'll talk to this telephone operator before I head out next. So once I've finished my 4 actions, the day gets moved down one closer to me having to guess the case and close it. But don't forget, we had a little special text. The captain calls you into the briefing room. We received an unmarked envelope containing this note early this morning. Forensics has gone over it thoroughly. It's clean. Look at D. Oh, we got a free card. Nice. D is... Oh, I have Vicky Crimson. If my demands are not met, the only way her adoring fans will ever see her again is in pieces. Ransom note. Okay, so kidnapping is looking more likely, although she could have orchestrated all this herself. I saw The Big Lebowski. I know what's what. All right, so with that little extra wrinkle and things, we have our 4 actions again. So I think I'm going to search here first, then head up to Hollywood, try to clear out those things, and hopefully go to the suspects with a lot of cards uncovered that I can ask questions about. So let's talk to the switchboard operator. The switchboard operator not only confirms what the Times reporter said, she also hints there might be some more info for a price. You lighten your wallet some more and she spills, right before Mr. Hawks called your department to report that missing actress, he received a call from the Hotel Vista del Arroyo, 62. I didn't listen in on that one, so I don't know what was said. Come on, you could help me out more than that. Oh, crud, this is already way tougher than any case I've done before in the beginning cases, because I have so much ground to cover, jeez. I got a hotel, maybe Crimson was staying there, I got a stolen car, I got a detective to track down. So I got 3 more actions. I could move to 53, move to 62, investigate the hotel, that would be it for this day, and then I could, I want to get the things that are way out of the way first. So let's do that, so that's 1, 2, 3, plus the action I already did, so that'll be my 4 for this day. The receptionist at the hotel nods enthusiastically when you show her a picture of Vicky.
Oh, yes, she came in here. Had one of your nice police officers draped over her arm.
Ooh.
Let's see, where's the guest log? Here it is. They got a room under Officer Chase Willis, Hollywood Precinct.
Hey, awesome. I saved myself some tracking down. He's definitely at 27.
I see here you also put his home address, 112 Glendale, 37.
They
seem quite happy.
All right, so we don't need to look into the Wilshire department anymore, but let's put down this home address for the officer. So Vicky, a famous movie star, is seeing some random cop? That doesn't really make sense. But they seemed happy, so the idea that he kidnapped her, that's kind of far-fetched. All right, so that's the end of that day. We're at 10. All right, so let's see. Hollywood is just rife with places to look. So I could go 1 to Sycamore Park, and then I guess, should I check out the guy's home address before where he works? I guess it's good to find out where he is either way. So yeah, let's go 1, 2, 3 to search there, and then maybe I'll be questioning him right off the bat. Willis lives in a Spanish bungalow that he could never afford on a straight detective's salary. Everything inside shines as if it was recently scrubbed with bleach and alcohol. On the kitchen table is a telephone directory with a page conspicuously missing. I'm jumping all the way up to I here. The directory is open to B, and a page has been torn out. Now, you can't see as much detail as I can on this, but I can't read any of the names. So I don't think I'm supposed to. I think just the fact that it's the B section is supposed to be important. Whose name begins with B? Miss Josephine Banks, I believe. All right, so Willis is either at work or also missing. Seems like his place is a crime scene if they wiped it down with alcohol. Was there a fight here? Was there blood here that got cleaned up? In any case, I got 1 more action. Let's check out this stolen car before I go over and talk to the police officer himself, hopefully. All right, time keeps on running down. Let's see what happened when this car jumped the curb. A bum rattling a tin cup is sitting on the corner. You ask about the vehicle in question, he rattles his cup energetically and winks at you. I'm just spending a ton of money here, aren't I? You toss in some coins and he's all gums. Hopped the curb and took out the mailbox, almost killed me, turned onto Western 18 like the devil himself was chasing him. All right, so 18, okay, down into West Side, so I can follow up with the car once I go to check out the director, I guess. So 3 actions left. I can go and see if this cop is here, then maybe go down there. All right, so for my 3rd action, I'm looking around for Willis. Willis, yeah. He's at his desk, jabbering on about his latest gig. The desk sergeant waves vaguely toward the back of the station. Gig? Is this guy an artist? You find Detective Chase Willis leaning back in his chair, his feet kicked up on the desk, reading Tattle Weekly. You instantly dislike him. Ooh, so I got a new suspect. Look at G and place Willis at 27. Chase Willis is suspect number 3. Okay, so now I got the other person that could have been involved in disappearance, and I get 1 free question, so you get to see questioning in a second. So I hadn't mentioned this, but you don't punch out all the standees as you need, or you don't punch them all out at once, you punch them out as you need them, so I might not have even known this guy was in this. Yeah, he looks like a total jerk. The kind of cop you spent your entire career trying to stay away from. He was never in it to serve and protect. Great. All right, so he's right here. I guess I've kind of explored all these places. Let's take these tokens away. So now we go to our little question grid. So I can ask suspect number 3, who is Chase Willis. And I can ask about any of the evidence I've uncovered or the people involved. So I can ask about the phone book at his house. I can ask about his girlfriend. I can ask about the ransom note, the director. Don't forget, the director said this guy was hassling him. So there's a lot I want to ask about. I get 1 free one right now. And then I have 1 action left, so I could ask another question before the end of the day. So I guess we'll start simple, and I'll ask him about Vicky first. So it's as simple as taking the card position, A, and the person you're talking to, 146. Now, by the way, I could search him, don't forget, but he's a cop, so I don't think that would go very well. Hawks, that's who you need to talk to. In between takes on a Scarlet Sleuth, they go into her dressing room to play hide the sausage. $1 the donuts, that leech knows where she is. Okay, so I could challenge him for 273, and, I got to use the information I have. So the fact that he's supposed to have been going around with her, that he was laughing as they entered a hotel together, I think I'm going to challenge him. And I think he's not telling the truth here. So I go to 273. Willis is lying to you, but when you press him, he stiffens. I know how this works. I'm not answering any more questions about Vicky until my union rep is present. You can't push me around. You'll have to find another line of questioning to get him to crack. Okay, but I do get 1 leverage over him. So to explain again how this works, I put a token either, on him or on his card. And anytime I'm asking a question, before I read anything, I can discard that. And basically I get to read the initial answer and the challenging answer when I say he's lying. But I can't suffer any consequences from it. I won't gain another leverage token, and I also can't suffer stress if I press him on the wrong question. So with that in mind, let's ask about the telephone directory at his house, and let's go and use our leverage to get as much about it as possible. That's from my house? If you say so, detective. Willis realizes what you've just told him. Wait, what the hell were you doing in my house? All right, so I get to go to 285 for free, and again, even if it was like a bad call, it won't hurt me. Willis's mock anger collapses into fear when you challenge him. He pales. That's mine. You've been in my house. Do you know where? He catches himself. I want to speak to my union rep before I answer any more questions. Okay, so I would gain 1 leverage over him, but because this was in a free challenge from a leverage token, I don't get stress or leverage, so I don't get to re-up my leverage. All right, so he asked, do you know where? So maybe he doesn't know where she is either, and he seems to be surprised that somebody was in his house. So it makes me think he's not involved in the disappearance necessarily, but he still might know more. And that's going to be the end of my day. The question is, do I stay here and ask him some more questions, or do I move around to other people? So we're down to day 8. Remember, when we get down to the final guess space, then I have to guess. If I'm wrong, I get 3 more days to try to solve it, and then I get that another time. But my sort of score goes down each time when that happens. Yeah, nothing I want to leave yet, because I do want to ask about the director, because he was saying that this guy was hassling him, and I think I also want to ask about this ransom note, because he maybe doesn't know that she's been kidnapped, just thinks she's missing. So let's start by asking him about Harrison Hawks. Vicky's trailer was always shaking with all that mattress polo she and Hawks were playing, incredibly unprofessional. Sounds like like Willis was more than a bit jealous. Yeah, I'm going to challenge again, because he seems to be ignoring the fact that he was also involved with her. Okay, you poke that open wound some and Willis explodes at you. Hawks thought Vicky belonged to him, but he was wrong. Willis looks crazy. Vicky is mine. Get another leverage. I'm going to use it immediately to ask about the ransom note, and then I might be done with this guy for now. Willis looks shocked and confused when you show him the note. Who sent that? He demands to know. It wasn't me. I didn't send that note. I think he's probably telling the truth, but, I have to challenge him because the leverage is letting me do it for free. You're certain he's hiding something, but this time you're wrong. I said I didn't send it. Willis is telling the truth this time. So I would have gained 1 stress 1/3 of the way toward losing a day, but I don't because I was using the leverage token. All right, so with 2 actions down, I don't think I have anything else to ask him. I don't know if I want to ask him about Josephine Banks until I uncover some more evidence. So let's head over to some other places. All right, so I'm going to use 3rd action move here, my 4th to keep following up on that car. It seems like that's just going to take me around the whole city. All right, almost halfway through the days, and I still don't know much. Okay, let's search this western road that the car continued down. An elderly clerk at a drugstore off of Western remembers the vehicle. The famous actress, what's her name, parked outside and came in like a tornado. Practically bit my head off. She was in such a hurry to buy them chemicals over there on that shelf. She took off heading south toward Palos Verdes. Before I look at Kay, looks like, wow, she went all the way down to South Bay. Okay, so I guess I'll talk to the director and make my way down there. Here's the what? The famous actress bought a bottle of chloroform, chemical used to induce unconsciousness. Now here's the problem. He said famous actress, but he didn't know which one. Now couldn't I show him a picture and find out if it was Vicky or Josephine? I'm gonna assume it's Vicky, unless Josephine said her car was stolen and then just drove it. That seems stupid. Wait, we'll follow that up later. So we can go search this guy's villa, or we can talk to him first. Let's search his place first, I would say, so we might have some evidence to kind of confront him with. So 2nd action moving, 3rd action searching. The front door is ajar. You draw your weapon and step inside. Furniture is overturned, books knocked off shelves, vases shattered. There appears to have been a struggle. In the midst of the mess, you find a hotel receipt oddly out of place. Oh, it's that same place, the Hotel Vista del Royo. Full week's stay. I'm sorry, this is Vicky Crimson place. I thought it was Harrison's place. Okay, so this is super suspicious. I mean, instead it was out of place, it's like somebody just dropping a hotel receipt. That doesn't make any sense. So it indicates that somebody wanted me to go check out the hotel, wanted me to see that Vicky was connected to the detective, which feels like they're trying to put the blame on him. Now, the question is, did Vicky just go around messing up her own place and leave a receipt trying to make Chase look bad? Or is somebody else trying to get to her and is kind of putting the blame off on Chase? In either case, I guess I can confront Chase with that later, maybe. All right, for my last action of the turn, I will go over to the director and we'll talk to him tomorrow. Okay, we're on the 2nd half of the case, and I'm definitely figuring out some stuff. I have 4 cards left uncovered and the mystery card, so I'm not sure how those things are going to come into play. Well, let's talk to Harrison Hawk. So what I'd like to ask him about. I mean, Chase, he was definitely complaining about. Certainly about both Josephine and Vicky. Maybe about the ransom note, too? I have no idea if this guy's even involved yet. Oh, and you can't ask them about themselves. I didn't do that with Chase, but you can always ask them about, their own letter. The first action, let's just start out with information about Vicky. It's about time you got here. I called hours ago. It's that detective who consulted on the Scarlet Sleuth. Willis, I think his name is. He was obsessed with Vicky. He works out of one of the departments in North L.A. No, I don't remember which one. I'm sure you can find him, seeing as you're also a police officer. So, do I challenge? Because if this guy's involved, here he's trying to put blame on Willis again, and he could have left the receipt at her house. So, yeah, let's challenge. I don't have any stress yet. Hawk's bluster seems artificial, so you put on your best intimidation face, press for more. I think, and press for more. They were just missing an N there. He instantly looks ashamed. I would do anything for Vicky, anything. The truth is, she wanted to create some buzz for her nomination. It was her idea, but I went along with it. I'm not proud. Okay, so he is implying that this is a publicity stunt. Here's the thing, I bet it started that way. What if Josephine got involved? I haven't even talked to her yet, but what if she wanted to take Vicky out of the picture? She somehow got wind of what was going on and decided to make the fake disappearance become a real disappearance. So let's ask about the ransom note with my leverage, and maybe he'll say that he helped write it, or maybe he'll say, wait, that wasn't part of the plan or something, and he'll show that something's gone wrong. Okay, so I'm using leverage. I'll get to see both things. It's that cop who consulted on the Scarlet Sleuth, Willis. I know it. He was obsessed with Vicky. He gave the entire crew the willies. He works out of one of the departments in North L.A. I'm sure you can track him down. Yes, I know this. 186. All right, come on. Admit you wrote it. Hawk's story smells rotten, and you call him on it. His face reddens when he realizes he's been caught in a lie. I sent it. It was Vicky's idea, but I sent the note. She's at the Hotel Vista del Royo with that skeezy little cop. It was a hoax, all of it. Okay, so she's not there anymore. And the telephone directory with the thing being ripped out. I don't understand. Like, Josephine wouldn't rip out a page with her own number on it. That wouldn't make any sense. Well, in any case, yeah, I think Harrison Hawks honestly tried to help her make a stunt and has nothing to do with the disappearance, which means if Chase doesn't either, then I guess it has to be Josephine? Because remember, the solution didn't have an option to say Vicky did it by herself or anything, so, All right, my third action before I ask any more questions, I'm going to search this guy. Remember, you can search suspects as well as locations. Hawks grimaces while you pat him down. Satisfied? You don't find anything on him. Well, okay. Well, here, let's search the location as well before we ask anything else. There's nothing to see but the latest Eva Ramone picture, A Waltz to Remember, shooting on the lot. You go in for the more hard-boiled picture shows, so fancy dance numbers really ain't your thing. You book it, choosing not to waste any more time. All right, darn it, I feel like I've eliminated suspects, but still need to find the evidence I need. So do I ask him about the chloroform or the telephone directory? Because again, neither of those seem to be part of the plan. Oh, let me ask about Josephine, see like how bad this rivalry really is. Josephine is an incredibly talented actress that I hope to one day have the privilege of working with. Yeah, let's challenge that. The way Hawk's eyes shift back and forth nervously convinces you he's hiding something. He comes clean as soon as you apply a little pressure. Josephine was up for a part in the Scarlet Sleuth, but Vicky didn't think she was right for it, and Vicky always get what she wants. Okay, so I got another leverage on him, and I get to look at F. Vicky Crimson made sure that Josephine Banks did not receive a part in the Scarlet Sleuth. Okay, so we've got, like, definitive motive here, although we don't need motive for this case. I mean, I have an idea that I've solved the case. It's probably Vicky, and probably for revenge or some reason like that. But clearly I gotta go actually talk to her and verify that. So yeah, for now I think I'm gonna follow up on the car and my possible Josephine Banks murder or something suspect. I guess it could be kidnapping. So second action, let's go through the cemetery. Third action, let's check the car first because I want to have as much information to press her on as possible when I get to her. Okay, and I'll search my final action of the day. You pop in a lonely gas station and start aggressively interrogating the young attendant. The car stopped and a woman got out, but I didn't get a good look at her face. It was dark. Am I in trouble? You try to ease off, but the damage has been done. He's a nervous wreck. She might have gone east, 81, maybe south, 79. I don't remember. He perks up when he remembers something else. Oh, this fell out while the lady was pumping gas. Does that help? J. All right, so we're running out of space to run. I mean, it looks like the water would make more sense, like especially if she was dumping a body, so I think I'm going to check that one first. What fell out? Oh, page torn from telephone directory. Okay, so it's a bunch of B's, but Baker's not on there. So this looks like only part of the page. Is any of this even, like, significant? Yeah, I think Baker would have been on some other part of the page, maybe. I'm not quite sure. All right, well, in any case, we're down to day 4. And yeah, I'm going to check out the water side first. So that's unfortunately 2 actions just to drive over there and look around. At the bottom of a murderously steep stretch of cliffside drive, you find a busted guardrail overlooking a 200-foot drop directly into the Pacific. Black vehicle paint is all along either side of the sheared rail. If anything went over the edge, it's gone now. Crud. Look, I get to look at the mystery card. Broken guardrail. Guardrail at the bottom of a steep hill on Cliffside Drive is broken. Chips of black vehicle paint can be seen along either side of the sheared rail. Now note that the mystery card is not part of the question grid, so I can't ask about that. But okay, let's put the pieces together. So someone, either Vicky or Josephine, bought some chloroform. Why did she buy chloroform? Well, let's see, what would make the most sense? Josephine reported her car stolen. She could have still had the car, bought the chloroform, drugged Vicky. Although why was she all the way over here if Vicky was staying in the hotel on the east side of town? But yeah, maybe she drugged Vicky, put her in the car, drove her off the cliff to kill her, reported the car stolen. It would seem like Vicky had stolen it and killed herself, or the kidnappers took her. All right, so yeah, so these I don't need to worry about anymore. So yeah, let's suspend an action moving over here to Josephine. And I mean, I'm going to spend a while here, I think. So let's go ahead and search the location first. Banks glowers at you as you toss her pad. In her desk drawer, you find a police report. Apparently, she recently reported her car as stolen. Look at L. All right, so here's my second to last card. Okay, copy of a stolen report for a black Ford sedan. Okay, so that's definitely the car that went off. Reported stolen by Josephine Banks. Quick call to the LAPD switchboard, and you get a hit. An incident was reported near Sunset Boulevard involving a similar vehicle. Yeah, okay, I know that. Okay, so that's just confirmation that her car went off the edge. But again, she might have been driving it, or Vicky might have been. It wouldn't make much sense for Vicky to kill herself, though. Or I guess no one could have been driving it. Maybe she just made the car go off the edge after making it look like she was driving it. But okay, let's search her next, and then we'll get into our questions. But we gotta go the next day. We were getting low on time, but I feel like I must be close to solving this. Okay, again, I'm going to search her before I get into the questions. Banks slaps you across the face when you move to frisk her. Touch me and you'll get more than a red cheek, detective.
You search her anyways, coming up with nothing. She slaps you across the other cheek for good measure. Well, thank you, Josephine. Alright, so I have all the time in the world to question her. I did never find card 8, so I don't know what that is yet. Let's see, I want to ask her about the card. I want to ask her about, does she know they were at the hotel? What does she feel about the role getting denied her? There's lots of fun stuff to dig into here. Let's get something easy. We'll start with Vicky. I bet she'll lie and say she loved her. We can press her, get some leverage, and get into the tougher stuff. 240.
I'm sure you saw the article about our fight. There was this detective that consulted on the Scarlet Sleuth, Williams or Willie or something. She said he was stalking her. I told her to call the cops, and she screamed at me that wouldn't do anything. I think he works out at Glendale. Maybe it was Hollywood. I don't remember.
Yeah, sure. He was stalking her, and she was sleeping with him, so let's challenge that. There's an edge to Banks' voice when you mention Vicky, and you know she's hiding something.
Fine, you want the truth, detective? There was no love lost between Vic and myself. I was up for a role on the Scarlet Sleuth, and she ensured I didn't get it. She's a selfish floozy that probably slept her way to the top.
Alright, I already have F, but now I've got leverage for her. Alright, next thing I'm going to ask about the police report, and I'll use my leverage to see maybe if she can indicate that she was driving the car.
I was having lunch at the Riviera Club, and when I asked the doorman, some mafia thug named D, he said they didn't have a record of it. Those mobsters are bastards, all of them.
Alright, so let's press her for free. While D's no stranger to crime, he's from an earlier case, by the way. Stealing cars from famous actresses has never been his thing. You question her story, and she stiffens noticeably.
I reported my car stolen, as that report clearly states. Is there anything else I can help you with, detective?
Yeah, she never lost that car, the liar. So I think I have one more question for today. Let me ask you about the page torn from the directory. Yeah, let's see how that goes.
Vicky called me, said that crazy Detective Willis had kidnapped her. I drove up to rescue her, but when I got there, she took my car and drove off. Left me on the side of the road. She was headed towards Sunset Boulevard before I lost sight of the car. Whoa, what?
Okay. That worked out great. So, because I said I found it in the car, I guess that's why she gave so much information. And I certainly got to challenge her and see if she was the one driving the car, 372. So, okay, her story's changed completely. There's a grain of truth in Banks' answer, but you can tell she's hiding something. You shove the torn page in her face and demand answers. She pales and the truth comes pouring out. Vicky did call me, that's the truth, and she did say Willis had kidnapped her, though I never saw him. I went to pick her up, but she didn't steal the car. I drove her away, and then... Banks suddenly gets a backbone and shuts her mouth. I think I should speak to my lawyer before I say anything else on the subject, detective. What in the heck? Okay, crap, was that my last action of the day? I think it was. I gotta keep better track of these actions. Alright, so 2. Okay, so she was driving Vicky. They bought chloroform. Maybe Vicky wanted her to help? Oh my gosh, I just got so confused now. I definitely gotta ask about that chloroform. I'll use the leverage I just got and try to dig into this more. I've never seen that before. Anything else? Okay, 148. That's BS and you know it. You can see fear creep into Banks' eyes when he refuses to let it go. Where did you get that? How did you... She quickly composes herself and refuses to say anything else. Oh my gosh, alright, she's done. So I can guess early. I've got, 3 actions left and then all of day 1. But yeah, I'm going to say that the suspect involved is Josephine Banks. And yeah, murder, right? I can't imagine there was an accident. But if I get it wrong, it goes back 3 days and I can try again. But yeah, let's try. So it's 51 plus 130, 181. Haha, here we go. The captain invites you to the office. Congratulations, detective. You've done it. You've solved the case and cleared up what really happened to Vicky Crimson. All right, so we get to look at the Chisel casebook and read the epilogue. But let's see if I can get it right first. So what probably happened? Okay, so Vicky went with Chase to the hotel. Harrison Hawks had set it up. They were going to pretend she was kidnapped. It was going to be a publicity stunt. Things were going to be great. But then, why does Vicky leave the hotel? Vicky leaves the hotel because Chase is too obsessed with her, and he freaks her out. He's trying to get handsy or something, and she runs away from him. She calls Josephine. Terrible decision, but she's the only other person Vicky knows in the town that can help her out, and maybe, isn't supposed to know about the kidnapping. So Josephine takes her, but realizes she's got this helpless girl. She knows that she's supposed to be gone, so she can blame it on somebody else. So she stops at the pharmacy innocuously. She says, "Give me a second." She runs in real quick, buys some chloroform, drugs Vicky, drives over to the pier, puts her in the driver's seat, drives the car off the cliff, kills her rival, sets herself up for movies in the future. No one will ever suspect her, and she actively tries to pin it on Chase Willis. So let's see if we did it. Vicky Crimson had been nominated before, but had never won. This year was going to be different. She was going to make sure of that.
She would fake a kidnapping and then be miraculously saved just in time for all the sympathetic voters to choose her performance over the other 4 undeserving actresses. She had the perfect patsy for her scheme, Chase Willis, the love-struck LAPD consultant on the Scarlet Sleuth who would do anything for her. Vicky enlisted the help of Harrison Hawks, who was also smitten with her. He booked Vicky and Chase a room for a week at the Vista del Arroyo, a once grand hotel that had fallen on hard times. No one would notice him there. Then he went to Vicky's house and trashed it, making it look as if a struggle had occurred. In his exuberance, the booking receipt for the hotel fell out of his pocket. The next day, after Vicky and Chase were quietly settled at the hotel and out of public view, Harrison sent the fake ransom note to the police. Vicky thought she could handle Chase, but she had made a grave miscalculation. He was more obsessed and more unhinged than she had originally thought. When it became clear to him that nothing was going to happen, that Vicky was just toying with him, he snapped. "I'm Detective Chase Willis, and you don't pull one over on Detective Chase Willis!" He kidnapped her, I didn't know this, and took her to his house, where he tied her up in the basement. "You're mine, Vicky, you belong to me." Her fake kidnapping had just become a real one. A few days into her captivity, Vicky awoke to find the house empty. Willis was gone. She managed to free herself from her bonds and grabbed a phone book. Everyone she knew was famous, so everyone she knew had an unlisted phone number except for Josephine Banks. Vicky immediately called Josephine and begged her to come pick her up. Vicky conspired with Hawks to ensure Josephine didn't get a role in the Scarlet Sleuth, so Josephine understandably hated her. When she picked Vicky up outside of Chase's home, bruised and bloody, her face streaked in tears, Josephine only felt elation. Karma was coming to call, she thought to herself. "No one knows you were here, Vicky?" Josephine asked. Vicky shook her head. "Take me home, please." Josephine had other plans. Stopping at a drugstore, she picked up a bottle of chloroform. Vicky was asleep, exhausted from her ordeal. Driving further south, Josephine stopped off at a lonely gas station and, using a rag, placed it over Vicky's mouth. Vicky's eyes shot open and she began to struggle, dropping the torn page from the phone book that she still had clenched in her hand. Her struggles were short-lived as the chemicals did their job and she lost consciousness. Josephine drove the last few miles of Cliffside Road, a particularly nasty stretch of asphalt. Parking at the top of the steep hill, she placed the car in neutral, got out, and watched it gather speed toward the flimsy guardrail and the wide expanse of the Pacific Ocean beyond. It hit the rail going 50 miles an hour and sailed through with a satisfying crunch. Josephine even found the graceful arc that the car cut through the air beautiful. It plunged into the sea and disappeared. Josephine smiled, turned around, and walked away. So there you go. I did miss some of the depths of Willis's depravity. I'm assuming if I had maybe searched him or something, I would have found more. Maybe that's what was H? Oh, yeah, look at this. Bloody rope. Yeah, found in the trunk of Willis's squad car. Okay, so I would have known that last part if I had searched. I might just assumed they wouldn't let me search a cop. But yeah, so I pretty much nailed this one. Nice on me. So that is Detective City of Angels. That was a case from the expansion. And again, this is on Kickstarter right now with a second expansion. And this was a sleuth mode, but if you want to hear how I think it compares to the normal kind of competitive mode with a chisel doling out information, go check out my review. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.